I'm falling apart. My oldest has gone to kindergarten and I am not okay. But
No,
I'm also
no,
okay
no,
because
no.
he's fine. Yeah. Cue intro music. Exactly. Wow, that really matches the
We did.
tone of what Jordan's talking about. This upbeat music, and
Mhm.
she's crying in the corner.
Oh my goodness gracious. No, you're
No, it's
doing
fine. It's
great.
fine.
You're doing
It's
great.
fine. Everybody's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
now
What are
that
we
we're
talking
nice,
about
we're
today?
we're so focused and
We are
attentive right now.
so
No
focused.
distractions whatsoever. And oh my goodness, that's the topic of our podcast today.
Wouldn't you know it?
Is, as you wrote, attention and focus and distractions. Oh my.
Did you like that?
I love that. I love it.
Tried to
And
get creative.
I also love that you added to our outline opening with a funny listener story, the Ampuli of Lorenzini. So take it
Yes.
away, Jordan. I want to hear this story.
Well, I thought it was funny. I think it was funny because A, it was a person who said they listened to the podcast and I was so excited. Um, one of Camden's buddies from school who was also doing the same soccer camp
Hmm.
um, through the parks department. His dad said, "Hey, I listened to your
Oh,
podcast." I was like,
nice.
"Oh, awesome." And he said, "What was that YouTube thing that you guys were talking about? You both brought it up. Was it like a YouTube channel or some app?" And he said, "I tried to Google it, but I like my phone couldn't figure it out or something like that." And I said, "Oh gosh, I'm not sure what you're talking about." And then I felt bad because I was thinking, I don't even remember what we said apparently on our own
Hmm.
podcast. And then he pulled up his search history and it was something that sounded similar but wasn't typed the same because who knows exactly how to spell. I had to Google it myself.
Hmm.
Ampuli of Lorenzini. He thought we were talking about some app that he needed
Oh
to
my
know
gosh.
about. I said, "No, no. The Ampuli of Lorenzini is part of a shark
Hmm.
that helps with searching for prey, basically."
Hmm.
And thanks to my son's focus and attention
There we
on
go.
animal facts, he taught me what Ampuli of Lorenzini was. So it was funny to me because
That's,
it was a real out in the world person talking to me
yeah.
about our podcast.
That's
So
really funny. And the fact that we're
yeah.
maybe not 100% focused on the topics we say we are. No, but also I think that Ampuli and Lorenzini would make a great app or something, some sort of
Yeah.
detection like the sharks. And we should probably just go ahead and like
Ooh.
patent this
Yeah.
right now, a
Copyright.
subsidiary of Millennial. I don't know what a subsidiary is.
I don't either.
Someone can go Google that and let me know.
So,
Um,
okay. Yeah.
but I love that we're
Yeah.
gaining traction. You're going to be on your next podcast guest
Who
speak.
knew?
Yeah, I guess just guest. You're going to be a guest
Guest.
on
Yeah.
another Morton podcast here. Do you want to talk it like preview that at all, or you'll fill
Yeah,
us in after it happens?
I would think it would. Well, I don't know. I don't know how long it takes them from interviewing to airing. But yeah, the Morton district podcast that Stephanie Brown and Don Sturm do
Mhm.
together, which is called CareU, which is really good. I listen to it regularly. And I just appreciate that they share relevant like parenting
Mhm.
information in this really approachable, non-judgmental way. And so I had worked with Stephanie in the counseling office in the high school years back now, and reached out to her and just kind of told her what I was doing with this wait until eighth pledge and bringing it to Morton. And is there a way that, somehow the district can become involved?
Mhm.
And then she got back to me and said, "We'd love to talk about it on the podcast." So like I
Yay.
was saying to you earlier, I went from zero podcasts in my life
Hmm.
as a participant like a month ago to multiple podcast things are happening. So it's
Amazing.
pretty fun. So yeah,
Amazing.
I'll be excited to be a part of that.
Yeah. And it's been a fun journey for me as well. I was just telling you before we
Yeah.
started recording how much fun I'm having just figuring out editing and stuff like that. I think I've gained a few little skills and I'm still learning. And I should also tell you that I pitched my idea to my supervisor. I know I told you way back whenever we were
Yeah.
first talking about doing this podcast. I was like, "Oh, I have this idea for my staff writing job at ISU." And I brought that up the other day and she loved the idea. So we're gonna see, I'm still it needs some time to figure out some logistics and stuff, but I'm really hoping that that's gonna get going too. So stay
Fantastic.
tuned,
Yeah.
dear listeners, if
Cliffhanger.
that becomes a thing, but
Oh,
potentially
that's awesome.
another audio project in the works. So
Very
pumped
cool.
about that. Excited for the school year to get going, but also
Yes.
understanding your emotions as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
Because all of a sudden, like 5 years does not feel like very long for Violet either. But
No.
because
Goes
and
real
mostly
fast.
because like in my mind, Camden is still just a little COVID baby, and
Yeah. Yeah. How is 2020? Like
uh,
2020 is not that long ago, but all of a
no,
sudden
all of a
it's
sudden it
he's in
is.
kindergarten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're not going to talk
Wild.
about the fact that like 5 more years from now, he'll like, no, no, nope.
Would you knock it off? Why would you do that
I
to
don't
me?
know. I don't know. It's been a
What's the
long,
matter?
it's been a long week over here as well. And it's
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Oh my
But
gosh.
anyway, focus, attention,
Yeah.
and distraction is the name of the game today. We'll
Yes.
talk a bit about, what we notice about our own personal focus and attention, then what we've noticed changing for our students, and then, as always, how we also want to be supporting our own kids' focus and attention.
Yeah.
So let's get into it.
Well, let's get into it. You had an example. You wanted to talk
Hmm.
about an example of when you were in the zone, so
Hmm.
to speak, giving your real undivided attention to a
Hmm.
task or project or
Hmm.
something. So when was the last time, or when was a time that you remember
Hmm.
clearly about having undivided attention? What did that look like?
Yeah. Well, so I was thinking about this the other day when I started my Sunday long run. So I attend the Church of the Long Run. Most Sundays I go out on a longer run, either out on the trails or on the bike path, or if I'm not willing to travel just in circles and circles around my own little neighborhood in a less than 1 mile loop. But anyway, so I was kind of thinking about our podcast. I knew we were going to be talking about these topics and starting to ask myself that question of, okay, what does focus look like in my life? Because as I'm sure you know, as a mom, like your just
Yeah,
your attention changes in a
constantly.
lot of ways. You're like just your brain is constantly tethered to one, or in your case, two other human beings, right? There's just a
Yeah.
constant awareness, whether you're physically present with them or not. It's just like crazy. It's so different. And I was even thinking about the fact that like, especially in the early momming days, like pretty closely postpartum, I was thinking about like, man, a year ago, I rewrote an entire dissertation chapter in the course of a week, which was my other thought of like, okay, there's a time when I was
Yeah.
focused. Whereas now it
Yeah.
takes me like a week to write an email. Like, just
Yes.
things like that. It's just wild how much it changes. But, I'm having this whole thought process while I'm out on my run. And that's really when I realized, like, oh, this is where I find my focus. In that
Yeah.
it's not always like, you know, it's almost like I lose that focus on like my left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. It's just that repetition kind of gives me a space where I feel like it kind of cuts out other distractions. And that's where I feel kind of in that flow state, as another
Yeah. Yeah.
term. And yeah, just really present, I guess would be the other word I would use to describe it. So for me, I know at least recently it happens when I'm running, because otherwise I feel like in most other parts of my day, my attention is pretty fragmented and trying to
Yeah.
multitask and tackle a lot of things and then add a phone on top of that. And there's just
Oh
so
man.
so very much. But yeah,
So
that's
much.
uh-huh. Uh-huh. What
How
about you?
long is
Oh,
a
go ahead.
how long is a long run for you? What's
It
your
depends. Right now I'm around an hour to 75 minutes.
okay?
Yeah. But when I've
And
done my
what's a typical distance? Like what is that?
uh,
I don't know how many
yeah,
miles you run.
I mean, on like an easy pace, I'm like right around a 10-minute mile. So that makes it easy to be like, okay,
Wow.
I'm gonna go out for an hour. That's about 6 miles. But when I'm really working at it, I can go closer to
Hmm.
9 minutes or so. Or my goal right now is 8:30, but working on that.
That is not something I can relate to
Yeah,
at
I
all.
know.
Although I do love to walk. I
Yeah,
love to
yeah.
walk.
No, we all find
I
it in
am
different I mean, it's just
nowhere near a 10-minute mile walk, but yeah, I
Mhm.
I in just, you know, thinking through a recent example for
Mhm.
myself of being focused. I guess walking would even be one of them.
Mhm.
And sometimes I don't even, listen to music or have a podcast or anything. I
Mhm.
walked for the first time with just Lily
Oh,
today
yeah.
because Camden was at school and I've never done that before.
Mhm.
It's always been the two of them. And then before Lily, I mean, Camden and I walked constantly
Mhm.
before he was in school. Um, anyways, so walking, I'm
Yeah.
usually pretty focused and or at least thinking through my day and
Mhm.
just having those like deep thoughts
Mhm.
where I'm uninterrupted and so my
Mhm.
brain can process different thoughts. I can't remember them later, but in the moment it's
Yes, yeah.
it's focused.
Mhm.
Um, and then the other just kind of silly example is like a craft project.
Mhm.
You have seen them in person, but I make the like these photo backdrops
Mhm.
that for whatever reason has just become my thing.
It's a cool
And
thing.
it is cool. I when I stand back and look at each one of them, like, wow,
Mhm.
that actually looks really awesome. But it's just repetition. It's
Mhm.
cutting the same strips, the same streamers, and then tying them
Mhm.
again and again, and then checking them. And yeah, so that's
Mhm.
when I can get the time. It's in the very early morning or very late evening,
Mhm.
and the house is quiet, so
Yes.
I can be
Yes.
focused.
Yeah, no, and I think those are all important elements too. It's largely these like isolated
Yeah,
solo activities. It's
definitely.
sustained, it's repetition, um, and it's just time, I think it's having the
Right.
time to get into that zone. Because like at least for me when I'm running, like it doesn't happen immediately. It takes a little bit of time and
Yeah.
continuing whatever the thing is. Because you talking about crafting too reminded me of doing a puzzle. I feel like just about
Yeah.
once a year I go through my puzzling phase. Usually around Christmas, usually like I'll have a new puzzle, and that's just
That
like
feels
that
like a
becomes my
winter.
thing. It
Yeah.
is such a winter.
Yeah.
You've got your
It's a
little
winter
mug,
task.
you're doing your last year it was a Gilmore Girls puzzle. It was so fun. It was so fun. And that was also when I had the worst like pregnancy insomnia. And so I'd be up in the
Oh,
middle of the night and it'd be like, I
yeah.
cannot bear to just lay here with my thoughts anymore. I'm gonna go down and work on the
Puzzle.
puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get your slippers, get your robe,
Mm-hmm.
work on a
Mm-hmm.
puzzle.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
love it.
What a dream.
Yeah.
Or lack thereof, I guess. I was not dreaming.
Yeah. Very much awake.
Yes. Oh my gosh. But anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I think it's important to remember that like, okay, focus and attention are possible even in
Yes.
our own lives, which feel hectic and busy and all the things. But then we also recognize that it's not always easy to come by. So we wanted to talk a bit about attention fragmentation, which I think about a bit like, as a parent, but then also I know that that applies to other things as well. So do you want to tell
Yeah.
us what that is?
Well, I took a quote from a book by Nicholas Carr called The Shallows, and he put it this way: attention is the choice we make to stay on one task, one line of thinking, one mental road, even as attractive off-ramps beckon. When we fail to make that choice and allow ourselves to be frequently sidetracked, we end up confused, dazed, scatterbrained. In other words, fragmented.
Mm,
And I thought, I mean, I could not say that in a better way. So I knew that was the perfect way to explain from Nicholas. I have not read this book,
mm,
and now I'm going to because it sounds really good,
hmm.
by Nicholas Carr.
What
But
was
it
the
was also
title of it? Sorry,
The
you said The
Shallows.
Shallows. Okay.
The Shallows. There was it
That's,
was something like What Internet Has Done.
mm,
I had the cover of the book out and I closed that tab. But yeah,
hmm,
Nicholas Carr, Carr, The Shallows. It's back in 2010, so it's a little
mm,
bit older now, but like Jonathan Haidt had identified some of the like those four harms that he talked about in the book, and attention fragmentation was one of them.
mm-hmm,
Um, and I know we're going to talk about the impact on us, and then also as we see it on our students, and then for even our own children. But now that it's back to school time,
hmm,
this is I feel like pretty. I mean, it's relevant all the time, but when
hmm,
you start to think about students planning for homework and quizzes
hmm,
and tests, doing that even without a device near them is it's hard.
hmm,
And I think adding that extra level of distraction of a smartphone can honestly it can become almost virtually impossible to
hmm,
really drill down and get some type of an assignment or
hmm,
project done effectively, efficiently with their full attention because a phone is it's as we've talked about, it's designed to take your
hmm,
attention. It's designed to keep you on it. And so if
hmm,
it's present in your academic life in your study space, you're just not going to get that work done.
hmm,
And consequences will will come from that.
hmm.
Um, I
Yeah.
know you talked about you're getting ready to go back and teach and
Yeah.
kind of how that is
Back to the real world.
very, very back to the real world. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
How does that play out for
Yeah.
you in your teaching space?
Hmm.
As- Speaking of distraction, I just heard
Uh-oh.
Camden open the basement door. It's fine. Um, yeah, they must have just gotten home.
Gotcha.
Um,
Yeah.
how how does this look?
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on it,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
far as kind
Well,
of the academic piece?
one thing you had said just made me think about, just with the whole back to school time, just that transition going from
Hmm.
summertime where, students may have had a lot more freedom with their time to do whatever they want and to not have to make that choice to
Right.
focus on something because that's what I really liked that from that quote that really stood out to me is the idea that you have to make the active, intentional choice of dedicating your focus
Yes.
somewhere. It doesn't just happen, which perhaps is a different kind of focus than that we were talking about in our examples. Because I would say that I don't, start my run and be like, I am going to focus on figuring out this
Right.
existential life crisis, right? No, those deep thoughts just
Right.
like emerge. And maybe that's more the kind of flow state. I don't want to try to cite the researcher's name because I do not know how to say it out loud, but the flow guy. It starts with
Yes.
a
Yeah.
C. There's a Z. I should look it up, but I'm not going to
Yeah.
distract myself with that right now. Um, Whereas, and maybe this is part of it, that the kind of focus we ask students for in school requires that kind of intentional
Right.
choice, right? And I do think that in this day and age where there are so many more distractions, that
Yeah.
it's a skill that needs to be taught. It's something that needs to be addressed. Like I don't think you can really assume that when students walk in my room, they are locked in, they're here to go. Like they're like I can't
Yeah.
just assume or take for granted that everyone in that room will be focused all together, if that makes sense. Um, so just thinking about ways of building that in, like, we talk about when I'll be teaching future teachers in one of my classes, like when you're crafting your lesson plans, how to introduce the lesson, how to invite students into the space of learning, how to maybe not just start with your content the moment the bell rings, but
Right.
to create that learning environment, how to, yeah, like welcome students into it. Um, Before. getting into the lesson and thinking about that in relation to attention. How do you, even just cue students to start actively listening, to start, I don't know, locking in or whatever we want to call it. Those are some of my initial thoughts, and I had more, but now I lost them.
Well, I I have a question then for
Yeah.
you about how you intend to, yeah, promote that
Mm-hmm.
space of learning
Mm-hmm.
and focus learning.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to have or plan on having any type of policy or just hey, here's my preference on
Mm-hmm.
like personal devices.
Mm-hmm.
It's different than in a high school or a middle
Mm-hmm.
school. And
Yeah. I think I need to be
because
more
there's more
explicit about it this
freedom.
year. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious about with you in
Yes.
this. They're older, but they're still
Mm-hmm.
teens, early 20s,
Yeah.
whatever.
I mean, two of the
Um,
classes I teach are freshmen, and this is meant to be their
yeah,
like transition, welcome to college kind of course, like how to college 101. And I
yeah,
think in the past, I have policies in my syllabus. I mention like, I say that you're not going to use personal devices in class unless you're told, or, I don't mind if they have laptops or other technology for taking notes or accessing, I don't bring physical copies of most things. There's some things that I do think are better on paper for some of the activities I do, but for the most
yeah,
part, like it's fine for them to have that personal technology, but I think I need to be more explicit about when and when not to be using it. Um,
yeah,
and maybe I'm still going back and forth, but I'm being more intentional with some note-taking things in this freshman class this year, whereas last year, I talked through different elements of the writing process, right? They're working on building or writing essays and whatnot, and I would have some notes on the board and like lecture a bit, but realize that like they're not writing it down, and then I'm repeating the same
mm,
information time after time after time. So I want to be more intentional about teaching them first some note-taking strategies. Um,
yeah,
that are relevant not just to my class, but again, to all of college. But I was going to give them the option of saying either have a physical notebook or like a dedicated electronic space. So whether that's a Google Doc or whatever works for you. Even though I know that handwriting is better for memory, I also
right,
know, yeah, it's a matter of preference and choice. And I haven't decided how I feel about that. I think I'm gonna experiment. I'll give them the choice and see what comes of it and maybe get back to you on that. But
yeah.
yeah.
How in the past, I mean, I know high school teaching in high school is certainly different than at the college level
Hmm.
with some things, but with them being freshmen, it's kind
Hmm.
of like seniors versus freshmen in college. They're kind of the
Hmm.
same.
Hmm.
Um, how if you start to notice the I'm on my phone doing something else,
Hmm.
or I'm on my laptop or device doing something else, is that something you would address? Because I remember in a previous conversation you said,
Hmm.
I wish that I maybe would have addressed that more,
Hmm.
but I said to you, it's not your job to police
Hmm.
phones and devices. Like that's a really delicate line to
Hmm.
walk because you have to give this content to these students
Hmm.
and you have a limited amount of time to do that. And if
Hmm.
it's spent policing your device, you're going to lose time, and
Hmm.
time is very precious in the
Hmm.
classroom.
Yeah.
It's a limited resource.
Yes.
So do you have that? I know I'm just kind of springing that on you, but do you
No, I
have
know
thoughts of
these are
how?
important questions. And in one sense, it depends on the classroom like culture.
Yeah,
And that student specifically, like what is our relationship?
true.
How deep into the semester are we? If we have a kind of
Are their grades
jokey or trusted
reflecting
or
their
yeah,
their
there's
yeah,
that. Or do I know that the student will be defensive, or do I know that they will just like if I sarcastically kind of call them out like, oh, I
right.
don't know, I can't think of a good line now, I'm not in
Yeah,
my teacher's zone, but like just a little
I get
line
what
just
you're
to
saying.
point out like, hey, I see what you're doing, put it away, without having to say like put your phone away. directly.
Right. Something must be
Um,
so interesting on that
yes.
screen right
Yep.
now that
Uh-huh.
you're, yeah,
Uh-huh. Tell them I say
yeah,
hi.
yeah.
Um,
Exactly. I see you're on Snapchat. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so there's that. And there was another point I had, Jordan. My focus is
Oh, no.
is faltering. Um, it was about the difference from high school to college. Oh, that here's the key difference though, is that attending a college choice is a class, or attending a college
Oh,
class is a choice and is a
that's
choice
right.
that you are paying for or that is
That's
being
true.
funded for you.
That's
Um,
true.
and so there is, it's like sometimes yeah, I kind of have to think through that as well. Like, I don't love that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
You
really my
don't
core
have to
policy.
be here,
Yeah.
but
But it is a
so yeah,
choice
you're,
that you're making. And I guess I'm thinking about this too. This is another topic for another day too. But like the fact that so many students are using AI to write your essay or do all the
oh,
things, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
like there is now, as to be expected, but there is now research evidencing how these students are getting through college and then entering the workforce without the necessary critical thinking skills that they should
scary.
have been developing by doing their own work and not having it outsourced to a robot. Um,
Yeah,
and so then it begs the question of like, so what's the point of spending 4 years of your life sitting in classrooms paying for this thing that you're now in
right.
debt for, but you don't even get the cognitive, like you don't gain the skills. And now you're going to go into a
Yeah,
job where you're not equipped and you may not do well. And you know, it's like,
yeah.
and when you
It's a
think about
scary
it that
thought.
way, digging your own grave or whatever. I don't like that
Yeah,
expression.
yeah,
It's
but
almost as bad
yeah,
as the baby in the bathwater one, but
yeah. Who
I hate
came up
that.
with
I
that
don't
one?
know.
I don't
It's
even understand it.
Yeah, no, me neither. Thank you. Yeah, I've never
Like,
understood it. I've never actually said it
don't
like,
throw the baby out with the
bathwater.
bathwater. Well, you can't leave a baby
How?
unattended in a bath,
No,
first of
you
all.
sure can't.
That is
No,
not safe, people.
no, it's not. It's not.
And who's just throwing bathwater out the window all the time?
You're throwing it out the window? I thought it meant like
I
just
don't know.
going
Don't
down.
throw it out. It's not going down the drain. Otherwise, they said don't put the baby down the drain. The
Don't
baby
put
can't go
you're
down the
right.
drain. So they're
Don't.
throwing bathwater out somewhere, front
Yeah,
door, kitchen window.
yeah.
I don't know, but I
But
don't
that
like
is
it
sage
at all.
advice. Don't put your baby down the drain either.
Don't
Um,
put your baby down the drain. Okay.
don't give them a phone. Don't put them down the drain. This has been Millennial
Well,
Mom Thoughts. We'll see you
thank
next
you for
week.
listening. Exactly. Oh my gosh. What if we actually ended it that way? People will be like, I'm never listening
Yeah.
to this again. What
Yeah.
is this?
Camden's friend's dad is like, all right, see ya.
Yeah. Yeah. And you lost me. All right,
Anyway,
let's
Jordan,
we'll
back
circle
to
back.
we're
Yeah,
so many
refocusing.
so many circles, but from your perspective as a counselor, now an academic coach, what have you noticed about students changing focus and attention? And in your, you have had a longer career than I have as well. So have you noticed any changes over time that may be
I
impacted by technology too?
some things I feel like are universal regardless of
Mm-hmm.
the technology.
Mm-hmm.
Procrastination, lack of organization, and study skills that aren't I wish there was like just for myself an actual dedicated class. And I'm sure some schools maybe have one, but like
Mm-hmm.
study skills 101
Mm-hmm.
early. Maybe it's like fifth grade or sixth grade or something
Mm-hmm.
that's like a dedicated class because I think that sometimes it's just assumed that kids just know how to study and
Mm-hmm.
they find what works, but they also find what doesn't work, even though they
Mm-hmm.
think it works. Anyways, so yes, how I'm seeing this now, I actually had my first student today,
Hmm.
now that we're back in school. Met with them today after school. And so I'm just now starting to get back into the habit of, we're paying attention for an hour about
Mm-hmm.
school and classes and making plans and starting goals and things like that. Um, but I definitely notice again because it's just one on one the ones, and it's not my student today, in case
Mm-hmm.
for some reason they figured out like I'm talking about you. They were not on their phone.
Mm-hmm.
But I have multiple students that really do struggle with go we meet for an hour uh without touching their phone,
Mm-hmm.
or without their phone going off and them hearing it. And it's distracting for me too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, I don't know what's going on that phone. It's not my device, but I'm hearing it, or I'm hearing the vibration go off, or the screen's lighting up.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, if it's possible this year, again, without coming across as like judgmental or too stern, but I am going to make the suggestion when we're meeting to put on do not disturb,
Mm-hmm.
either power it totally off or put on do not disturb. Um, because it stops the flow. It
Mm-hmm.
stops you when you're in the middle of something. And there have been times where we're really on a roll with something, we're having a good conversation, or we're working on an assignment or project, and then the phone goes off.
Mm-hmm.
And it stops because their eyes immediately shift and
Mm-hmm.
dart over to that phone, whether they touch it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so that I noticed that, and I'm just working with junior high and high school students, so I would assume if an elementary age student had a phone and they're working on homework, it's that's happening for them too. But so my experiences with the kind of older teenagers, there's just no good way to study and do homework with a phone present. There
Mm-hmm.
just isn't. You
Mm-hmm.
have to, it has to go into another room. It physically can't be within your reach or within your sight. I think it's incredibly distracting, and it breaks your focus, and then it causes you to have to study and do these tasks longer
Mm-hmm.
because you're not doing them effectively.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not sinking into your, you know, first short-term memory, but then with repetition, long-term memory.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not effective. So I would like to spend more time this year being really intentional with my discussions about where's your phone,
Mm-hmm.
what's your study space at home look
Mm-hmm.
like, where are you physically in your house doing your work,
Mm-hmm.
and what does that look like? I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
always ask about it, but
Yeah.
I think I'm just
Yeah.
going to be more focused on that this year.
No, and I really think like I think most students that I know are receptive to that. Like they are aware of
I think so
this
too.
fragment of their attention fragmentation. Like they're not that they know, right? And they're aware that this is a problem. They just also know that it's a hard one to fight. Like it's easier to give into it and to give into the distraction, or it's a compulsion. It's
Yeah.
it's hard to
Compulsion.
control.
Yes.
But I think having those conversations and letting it be a kind of collaborative conversation
Yes.
where it's not just I am the teacher, and this is maybe, the different kind of relationship that you're able to have as this kind of coach versus being a counselor or versus being a teacher where you're like, this is the rule, you must follow my rule,
Exactly.
versus like,
Yeah.
hey, let's set a goal here. Like
Let's try
maybe
something
the
new.
student isn't ready to go the full hour, right? But what can we,
Right.
can we set a timer? Or, okay, what is so important that you need your phone on right now? You're worried that mom's gonna, I hope mom's not texting while she knows you're in this session,
I
right?
have had that
But like,
happen.
can you
I've
set
had that happen.
those? Can we go into the settings and like make because you can do customized do not disturb modes,
Exactly.
whatever they are. So let's figure out what you want to be the rules today or what you want to be the ground
Yeah.
rules. And yeah, I
I
don't know.
do
And
think some students, I think, do recognize it's a problem. I also think some think it's not a problem for me.
yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
problem for others,
Mm-hmm.
but I can handle this. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not affecting me as much as they even realize that it
Mm-hmm.
is. So I like your idea of real, like in this moment when you picked up and touched your phone. Like I see you again, it's just you
Mm-hmm.
and me. So I'm seeing you do this. It's not
Mm-hmm.
underneath the desk. What is it that drew your attention away from the task that we were just working
Mm-hmm.
on?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
Yeah.
important.
No, and I think like we've both used the word intentional or intentionality. Like that's key
Yeah,
here and explicit. Like we have to address these things. Otherwise it's not going to change.
right. Do
Yeah.
you remember when you were in the classroom in high
Hmm.
school, um, what, how that lack of sometimes focus, yeah, lack of focus from students who were, I know you can see it. Like
Hmm.
I know you're aware of when it's happening. Maybe not every single time, again,
Hmm.
because you're busy sharing the content. Hopefully, then students are picking up that content. But what what did you notice?
This isn't really the question you asked, but I'm also thinking about how like teachers, like parents, like we were talking about the fragmented attention of being a parent.
Mm-hmm.
Same for being a teacher, though. They're just all the things you constantly
Right.
have to be simultaneously aware of, given every single student in your room, and then also like your laptop, your email, and the fact that you're
Yeah.
getting like important administrative emails while you are also supposed to be teaching. Like just things
Yeah.
like that, that I think there is a culture too that almost glorifies the multitasking and kind of paints the teacher as this hero that can do it all. But even if they can, should they? Like should
Yeah.
don't they also
Right.
deserve their own sense of their own ability to create that kind of sustained flow state? I'm just repeating all these things, but I don't know. That
Yeah. Well,
also
just
comes to mind
having
for
like
me.
autonomy in the,
Hmm.
in the class, like being
Hmm.
able to, this is my dedicated time. And
Hmm.
yeah, I'm thinking of, you just get so many emails. I'm thinking of
Hmm.
that too. A lot of distractions.
Someone is distracting Jordan currently. I
He
see the
sure
eyes
is.
darting, and I see the eyes. Hi,
Hmm.
buddy. Hi, good kindergartner. Three
Perfect.
cute E. Did I type that or did you?
Oh, totally,
Probably.
Camden.
Sorry, I'll leave it there then.
That is Camden's contribution to this episode. 3QE. Like, what buttons
Literally.
can I push?
How will we support our kids' focus and attention?
Oh man.
3QE.
Okay.
What?
So I do think about this one.
Yes.
I mean, I think about this one all the time
Hmm.
because in my line of, or my career, not line of work,
Hmm.
career, this is, it's education. So you have to have focus and attention, but also just in day-to-day life,
Hmm.
being able to recognize when you're distracted, when you need to have the complete focus, whether it's on schoolwork or some other task. I I have become way more intentional with their uh, media consumption, which is
Hmm.
just TV really at this point. Um, Camden loves, we have Apple TV,
Hmm.
and I notice that he loves to do the scrolling.
Hmm.
Like he wants to see all the
Hmm.
shows on the list and just
Hmm.
if I'm not right there, he will scroll. So I have really stopped him from doing that. He's not allowed to hold the remote anymore.
Hmm.
He doesn't get to have the remote. It's like like for example for today, I was, meeting with a student for an hour, and so that's his time. He gets that hour to watch a show. So I have him say which show he wants to
Hmm.
watch, and then I take the remote. And so then
Hmm.
the next one, it starts automatically anyways. But I
Hmm.
noticed he was not only just scrolling, but when an episode was playing, he was skipping through things. He was
Hmm.
fast forwarding, and so he
Hmm.
was not watching a full episode
Hmm.
uninterrupted.
Hmm.
And I thought, nope, that is not good. I'm not against TV. Like I've said before, I loved TV as a kid. I love,
Hmm.
watching shows now as an adult. So I'm fine with him watching appropriate
Hmm.
shows, which is mostly just nature shows anyways.
But that is a
Um,
different experience when
but
you're,
that is not
yeah,
something I could have ever
yeah.
done because
Hmm.
unless I was constantly hitting the VCR button of rewind, rewind and fast
Yes.
forward.
And then it will
But
never
even that's
stop in the place where you want it.
no,
And
but
then
even
so you got to
that's
rewind again.
clunky. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when I saw that, I
Yeah.
thought I have to stop this now because that is that's leading up to, eventually when he is old enough to have a smartphone.
Hmm.
or a device, that's part of it. That it's the mindless scrolling. And I
Mm-hmm.
watched him as a 5-year-old doing mindless scrolling, and I thought this is not okay. This
Hmm.
is not good. This is not good for his brain. He can watch TV, but it needs to be all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
It's not skipping parts and going back and forth and exiting out and choosing a new episode. Like, we're not doing
Mm-hmm.
that. If you pick something, you're watching it all the way through,
Mm-hmm.
and if you don't want to do that, then we just turn it off.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a
So
good
that's
rule. That I would
right
not have thought, I
right
did
now.
not think about that, but that's
It was
really
a
interesting.
recent
Yeah.
development.
Yeah.
And it's the design of the remote too.
Mm.
It's an
Mm-hmm.
Apple product, so
Mm-hmm.
it's got the touch.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't figured out yet, or maybe he hasn't, I didn't even realize. It's got Siri. The
Mm.
remote has Siri, so you can talk into it and say, "Show me Hot Wheels," or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Um, and I don't want him using
Yeah.
that feature.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, that's super interesting. Um, and I think, the way I am thinking about it right now, like sure, there's plenty of things that I'm like, in the future, you're like, here are rules or just like norms that I want to set in our house, but we're not there yet. So I think at
yeah,
this stage, it really is just still like mindfulness for myself and modeling the kind of
yeah,
behavior because
modeling's
that's the
huge.
number one thing. Like if even though she's 6 months old right now, if I'm continuing a habit, like
Hmm.
I'm not just going to be able to turn that off for myself if I'm
Yeah,
sitting down and, having a conversation while mindlessly scrolling or whatever that is.
absolutely.
So I think that's just kind of where I'm at is thinking about what are the things I'm doing right now that I wouldn't want to do when she's 5 years old or what, like that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like what don't I want her to see? Because if I'm like kind of like talking before when I talked about like hiding my phone behind the tummy time
I remember that.
book.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, okay, if I feel embarrassed or ashamed or like, okay, this is I'm doing something wrong, like then I should probably just stop that behavior for
I don't
myself. And
remember
it's
where
hard.
I saw it, but in relation to what you just said, it was probably on Instagram, honestly, that I saw it, that someone was talking about there are times during my day when I have to use my
Mm-hmm.
phone. And it's true. There are times during my day when I have to use my phone. And now that Camden's at school, it's different. But, certainly over the summer when we had more
Mm-hmm.
time that we were just all together, they were saying how they speak out loud what they are doing on their
Mm-hmm. I've
device.
done that. I have
Like,
done that.
I'm
Yeah.
sending a message
Yeah.
to Granny,
Yeah.
or I am sending a message to someone about work.
Mm-hmm.
And then the moment if I start to wander, do I really want to say out loud, I am scrolling on
Yeah.
Instagram rather than talking to
Yeah.
you? And
No,
so
100%.
it has changed how I approach using
Yeah.
my phone in front of Camden and
Mm-hmm.
Lily, because there are times or a text will come through.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's, if it's Brian, if it's hey, this is kind of an urgent
Mm-hmm.
question or something I need a quick response to, I will say, Daddy sent me a message and I need to
Mm-hmm.
take a moment to respond to it,
Mm-hmm.
so that it's not this secret rectangle of
Mm-hmm.
mystery and, well, why is mommy on that? What's
Mm-hmm.
now I want to see.
Mm-hmm.
It's, here's what I'm doing and why.
Yeah. No, I love that. And it's so funny because I have like unintentionally done that because the like when you just narrate things out loud to your
Yeah.
baby and
Yeah.
that's how you go about your day. So but there have been moments where I caught myself where I'm like, I am opening Instagram or whatever it is. Like I guess I'm on
Yeah.
Pinterest now. No,
Here we
okay.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I like that as a strategy. I think that's smart. I've also thought about, someday having like a dedicated electronics space where
I've
like
seen that.
for
Yeah.
at least from dinner to bedtime or whatever it is like
Yeah.
parents included like phones are on the counter or like on
I
this
think I
in
would
this
struggle with
corner.
that.
Yeah.
I fully will. I fully intend to have the rule of there are no devices in bedrooms. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like the home phone. It stays in this one spot, whether it's on the
Mm-hmm.
kitchen counter or whatever it is. But am I going to be able to do that too? Because if I want to model this behavior,
Mm-hmm.
well, and I get the argument of, well, I'm the adult,
Mm-hmm.
it's my home and my
Mm-hmm.
rules, and I'm a grown up who can make these choices. But
But
if I really want to
yeah.
impress upon them that this is important and here's why it's
Mm-hmm.
important, well, then am I willing to do that too? Which
Mm-hmm.
also then means I'm gonna have to buy an alarm clock because I literally don't have an alarm clock. It's my phone.
Yeah, yeah.
So I do think about that too.
No, and like I said, right now, like these are all just ideas. These are my ideal, like here's
Right.
what I would like to be able to do someday, but I I won't know until we get there
Yeah.
and who knows what else will, like
Oh
who
gosh.
knows what
Yeah.
changes there will be. Um and yeah, but
Well,
that's why we have these little get-togethers. That's why we
I
have
guess.
I feel like every time we talk, Jordan, just a thousand new ideas
Totally.
to now go and process because I'm gonna give myself the time to
Yeah. Yeah.
to sit with my thoughts and yeah,
Yeah. I do like that it's always fun just talking to
I
you,
know.
but it
Yeah.
does give me, oh, like I didn't think about that. I want to talk more about that with
Hmm.
you in this way, on this platform. But also, oh, I need to think about that in my
Yeah.
life. Like
Yeah,
that's
for
yeah.
sure.
So I do I hope that even though primarily my focus is being able to just get some of these thoughts that I have out loud with you, I
Hmm.
recognize that we are doing this on a podcast and other people can listen to it. But I hope that it is helpful
Hmm.
for someone else when they listen, like, oh,
Hmm.
I didn't think of that, or that's a good
Hmm.
idea, or hey, message us, send us
Hmm.
ideas, or tell us, hey, uh, well, I guess we don't have an email set up, but I did make an
Hmm.
Instagram account.
Yeah, you did. You
I did
did.
make an Instagram. I think it is it
Hmm.
dot? No, I forget. Millennial dot mom dot
Okay.
thoughts.
Cool.
Um, also maybe you just know us.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to text us.
Yeah. I've gotten
Um,
a couple texts now that say like, "Oh, I like it. I like listening to you guys." So,
oh, good.
yeah, we've
Okay.
gotten some
Well,
good feedback
yeah,
and
send us messages, send us questions, send us ideas.
send us funny memes.
Send us money.
Just
No,
distract
just
us this
kidding.
way.
I thought that would be funny to
That's
say.
wonderful. Good job. Well done.
Don't actually send us money. That was completely a joke.
Eh,
But also, if
we
you want
wouldn't
to
send it
contribute to
back.
our grocery bills, that would be totally fine.
Oh, that's a topic for another day.
Oh
Is
man,
grocery stores.
rising.
Not even prices, just preferences. Because we've had like a
Oh, that's
short text
yeah.
conversation about
Yeah.
Walmart and Kroger
I was just at Walmart today,
yeah, yeah.
grocery
I've
shopping.
found myself at Walmart more times, I feel like in the past month than in the past year combined.
Wow.
So, yeah, it just
Brian said we should
sometimes
start
you
to,
gotta
well, yeah, it's all in one spot. That's why it's helpful.
it's yeah,
Well, uh,
it just overwhelms me. I just always walk out of there feeling like fried for the
it's
rest of the
big.
day.
It's big.
Yeah.
Um, but Brian suggested that we start running ads for like random things. Like this episode is brought to you by Cantaloupes. Like something that's not a company but maybe we just start making things up and who
I
knows,
love
maybe
that.
maybe a cantaloupe
Maybe
company
I
will be
can't.
like, no one's
They're
ever
on to
asked for a
something.
cantaloupe
Yeah,
sponsorship.
I like
We're
it.
sending you all the cantaloupe your heart desires.
I would I would love that. I'm a big fan. I never buy melons because they take so much work
They do.
to
And the
prepare. But
pre-cut
I
ones
love
are so expensive,
yeah,
so it's a
and not as
dilemma.
good. Yeah, it
And
is a
not as
dilemma.
good. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad we can agree on something, Jordan.
I know. The only thing, right? No.
Okay, we should probably get out of here.
Yeah. And to
Was
conclude our episode,
we didn't
bye.
even say our welcome. I never said what's up, what's up, what's up.
What?
Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
Oh no,
Or
is that
another
how did we miss that? Wait, did we introduce the episode, right?
we
We
did, but I don't think
you
maybe,
didn't you
maybe
didn't
I'm
say that?
misremembering.
Oh
But we were
no,
just
our
talking about
attention and
it
focus was
was,
taken other
they were taken
places.
by all your big emotions. And you know what? That's okay.
Oh,
That's
all right. For
okay.
for episode 5, it's a little different because I am a little bit of an emotional train wreck. By next episode, I'm sure I will be totally fine.
Mhm. And you know what we're gonna do until then? catch you
There it is.
on the
I thought you were going there.
okay, on the
Yeah.
flippity flip. Bye
Catch you on
bye.
the flippity flip. All right, do you want to quickly
We can
say
do
hello
that.
to Helen? Here, you can hear her with these headphones. Say hi
Hi,
to Helen.
Camden. How is kindergarten?
Good.
What do you like about it?
There's a lot of recess but we usually do it all together.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, my friend Theo and Lincoln and Wet and Wyatt and Luna are in there too. Even Luna's sisters.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so much fun. I love
I'm glad you're
kindergarten.
having fun at kindergarten.
Hmm
All right, Mommy's gonna keep working. Don't hit buttons, please.